Okay, once again, good evening and good morning. Very quick introduction about me. I'm Satish. I have total around 14 to 15 years of experience in IT, cutting across performance testing, engineering, product development, product engineering, and I've been taking the training with, both for the corporate and for these kind of a similar batches with Isha for the last 3+ years for various PT, PE, DevOps related courses. Okay. Now, this course is tailored for performance engineering for the people who are already having experience in performance testing, who wanted to skill yourself into performance engineering, and also for the people who are in test leads in development, if they wanted to get into the performance, that also this course will help them to uh, cross skill or get into the performance domain, right? What we'll do today is I'll go over the few introduction topics, and then we'll go over the course content, uh, what we are going to learn in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then we will look into the application that we will be using it for the engineering, and then we'll take questions at the end. Okay. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat. I'll take it up in the end. Okay. So before I start, I just wanted to know your perception of what is that you're expecting to learn from this course, or when it comes to performance engineering, what do you think it needs to be covered, right? Just to get your view, if you guys can probably put it in the chat, you can say whatever you think that means performance engineering, or whatever you expected to learn from this course, right? If you can just put it in the chat, or you can voice it over, anything is fine. What do you think that you're going to learn from this course, or what is something your expectation from the course, or what do you think performance engineering means? So you can just probably give a word or a sentence, anything is fine. I'll just keep typing in whatever the chat I'm getting it. Finding bottleneck before production, good. Code optimization, filing to be able to find bottlenecks, root cause analysis, good. How AppDB works, where is limitation, very good. Tools like Dynatrace to identify bottleneck in Java, tuning, good. DB profiling, okay. Basics of Java and Python programming knowledge, providing observation reports, developing a framework that makes our work easier, memory dump, thread dump, why to do, good. class or method level debugging. Okay, good. More tool sets that fits our skill set. Integrating Dynatrace and Azure DevOps. Good. Front-end analysis. Good. Test plans. Collecting requirements. Okay, very good. Okay, great. Okay, knowledge on CPU utilization. Okay. Keep memory. Good. I think, yeah, this is very good, comprehensive list around the performance engineering area, right? Finding the bottleneck, optimizing the code, profiling, root cause analysis, identifying bottleneck using Dynatrace, the thread dumps, memory dumps, class or method level debugging, front-end analysis, CPU utilization, heap, test plans, collecting requirements. So apart from two things, I think one is DB profiling, okay, and the DevOps, Azure DevOps, right? Apart from this, I think pretty much we'll be learning almost all other topics in the course. So which means your understanding of performance engineering or the expectations, right? It is pretty much what we have tailored as well. Okay. Somebody is in mute. Let me try to mute them. You guys, please go on mute. Yeah, thanks. Okay, fine. What I'll do is, so pretty much whatever you mentioned, right? Most of the people who have joined, I presume that you are from a performance testing background. Okay, at least majority. So you might be doing the scripting and execution and preparing the summary reports using Jmeter or LoadRunner. You might be doing some level of analysis using Dynatrace or AppDynamics. Okay, and then some basic monitoring, or you might be having a separate monitoring team who will do this, right? So in majority of the organization, when it comes to performance testing, that's how the typical scope of work will be, right? Getting a requirement, creating a script, executing it, analyzing your tool report, and then providing that to your project team. Okay. Now, what we wanted to do is, from here, we want the people to, when they go for interview, or when they prepare a resume, or when they want to go on project themselves, in addition to all of these, which are pretty much prerequisite for a performance testing, we also wanted them to go and say that they know server-side profiling and client-side profiling, all the code optimization, your profiling, whatever you mentioned, right? That will come under the server-side profiling and client-side profiling. Yeah, I'm good at taking a dumps, being a heap dump or a thread dump, and then analyzing those as well, right? You should be good at. And from a database perspective, we are not going to be database performance engineer. That's why I said we will not cover DB profiling here, but rather from an application standpoint, what are the important metrics, important concepts, important monitoring that we do using the, say, AWR report. And then you should be able to use tools like JProfiler, JVisual VM, JConsoles, Dynatrace, or AppDynamics for profiling, monitoring, and debug diagnostics. You'll be able to benchmark your instances and then set up some important tuning flags for your JVM. And then monitoring using some of the open source tool as well is very, very important, because in many places you will not have a luxury of APM tools. Okay. And then you should be also comfortable in using the Linux environment, because majority of your servers will be in Linux. Okay. So that is how we wanted to transform you from your current skill set with your current profile. We want you to go and say that after the course is completed, at least once, if you able to go and do the hands-on, okay, you should be able to go and tell yourself that you know all these things. We are not going to go and say that you have a 3-year experience, a 2-year experience, a 5-year experience, right? We are not going to want to give a fake information, right? But still, when you go and in your interview or in your resume, if you go and say that you have learned out of your passion and you have practiced with the application all these concepts and so on, you have it, that's going to make a huge difference when compared to a normal performance tester. Okay, see, if they really need experience, they will get experienced people with a very good high salary cap, right? Now we are not going to compete with those 4 years, 5 years engineers. You're going to be differentiated from a normal performance testers, which means you will have an edge over every other people who are going to be a performance tester. That's a target here. That's a focus here. It's not to go on. It's not easy to gain a 5-year experience of engineering with the course. That's when it comes to engineering, you will gain a lot of experience as you start working on this area, right? But pretty much you will be able to go and say that you have done you learned, you've done hands-on with a real application, and you've done everything practically, right? That will make a lot of difference when you speak and when they hear you your whatever you're going to speak as well. Okay. Now, when it comes to engineering, right, it's going to be a combination of several things. One is, of course, your performance testing, where all the scripting, execution, your load testing, endurance testing, everything will come into the picture, right? Apart from that, it is good to have some kind of administrative networking knowledge, which means you should be able to go and spin your own missions, install the required prerequisite softwares, servers, deploy your application, start, restart. So all these are part of this networking administration, right? So you should be able to connect to the Linux machines, install the required libraries or softwares in the Linux machines, opening up the port, deploying your application. All these things you should be able to do an hands-on. In many of the places where you will not have dedicated people doing these things, you will take care of your own environment, be it as a profiling environment or a testing environment. You should be able to go and do all these work for yourself. You should be able to go and install tools. For every tool, there will be a dependency, Node.js or a Python or a Java, certain libraries, right? So you should get hands-on, comfortable in doing these things. Okay. And then programming is not a mandatory. It is good to have at least some basic whatever you want to do. You guys mentioned about class level, method level debugging, right? You should know what is class, what is method, what is object, what is function, because we are going to go and talk to the developer and then say that you have a problem with this code, you have a problem with this method, you have a problem with this object, right? Now, in general, when we go and talk to the developers and say that you have a response time problem or these transactions are having high error rate, right? Normally, you will always get a resistance from them saying that the problem could be because of your script. The problem could be with your test data. it is because of the environment. They will not accept that it's a problem with the code or their application, right? Always they will try to push it back. Now you're not only going to say that there's a performance problem, you're going to also go and pinpoint saying that your particular class or a method or object is already a problem. Now, if you're not confident on these terminologies, if you don't have a view on how a application project will look like, the code structure, the packages, libraries, right? Then you will not be able to go and talk to them with a conviction. Okay, you will have a lot of problem. See, if you go to Dynatrace, will probably spend 3-4 days. You will be able to go and get some data, the root cause, all these things, right? But when you go and talk to the developer, you should have the confidence of explaining them and then pinpointing them the problem. So for that, the programming knowledge will help. Okay. So, and then comes your analysis, engineering analysis, where all these things will go into whatever you mentioned, pretty much, right? Uh, uh, you going and monitoring it, diagnostics, early performance, shift left, CPU profiling, memory profiling, heap dump, thread dump, GC analysis, AWR report analysis, client side profiling. All this will be part of your system analysis or performance engineering. Okay, so when it comes to engineering, it is going to be combination of your testing, which is something you might be already doing it, hands-on and comfortable in administration, networking, some level of understanding of programming language, plus all these engineering activity. Okay, now you also be when you gain experience, right? You can also involved in reviewing the architecture and design. Okay, which means you will get involved early in the life cycle. There will be requirements, non-functional requirements, SLAs from business, design document, architecture diagrams from your development team. So you will collaborate with your business. You will also discuss with your architects to see whether the design will be able to meet the SLA or not, right? Rather than identifying problems later and then just give me 1 second, please. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, guys. So that will come when you're going to have a gain experience, right? Reviewing the architecture and then suggesting the design changes to meet the SLAs or to come to a trade-off between performance and functionality and the business requirement. So these things will come later when you gain experience, but rest of the other things is what will come under the system analysis. Okay. And this is going to be spread across your various phase of your SDLC, right? So even now in Agile, you're going to have sprints. You're going to have a couple of sprints within a release. And certain things you will do it at the end. Certain things you'll do it at the beginning itself, right? At the beginning of the release or along with the developers. As and when something is getting developed in a sprint, at the end of the sprint, you'll be involved in doing certain engineering activities. Okay. So one more advantage of learning engineering is you'll be more relevant for a project, right? Now with more and more things getting automated with Gen AI, right? With which is going to automate your scripting analysis, right? Now, if you want to stay relevant, which means you will work along with the developers from the development till the production and then production analysis. All the engineering activities will spread across the entire life cycle. Okay. So which means you will not only do a scripting and testing, you will do a lot more, which means you're going to be a lot more relevant to your project. Okay. I'll go over the topics before going to the topics, right? What I'll do is, okay, let me go with this and then go to the application. The way we'll start here is, as I mentioned, it is good since we are going to learn about engineering. Engineering, we're going to find problems. It is good to go get some basics. Okay, So we'll spend some time in Java basics, where we'll try to go and understand few concepts, write some programs, understand how a project structure will look like, what is class, what is method, what is object, how a database connection will be happening within a program, how a external call, HTTP call will happen within a program. So we'll go over that and then do some hands-on programming, just to get your mindset, right? As I mentioned, it is very important for you to get confident when you go and talk to the developers. So for that, this will help for sure. Okay. And then we'll also learn about JVM basics, the structure of your memory structure, the heap, the stack, GC components. So we'll go and learn the JVM basics as well. Okay, Java and JVM basics is what we'll start with. And then we'll get into the engineering topic. The way we'll try to learn this is, say if you're in a project and you're going to get involved right from the beginning, as the application is getting developed, a functionality is getting developed, you will be doing a shift left performance, right? Shift left is moving your in performance activity early. So be it as a code profiling in terms of memory or in terms of CPU, we'll go and do those single user CPU response time profiling, and then followed by your heap analysis or memory leak analysis. And for all these things, we will use a application called eLibrary. Okay, so eLibrary is a very simple Java application connected to a MySQL database. Okay, I'll just go and I'll provide you the application as well, which you can actually deploy it in your own machine. I'll explain you in detail probably tomorrow how to deploy, how to set up this Tomcat, the prerequisite, everything tomorrow. Meanwhile, let me go this and then we get. I'll go and start the server. Okay, so the server started. Let me go and just give me 1 second. Okay, the WAR file itself is not there. 1 second. Let me copy the WAR file. So these WAR file as well, I will provide you in the Google Drive. So once you register for the training, right, you will get an access to the drive where all these the entire eLibrary project code and the WAR files, all the required softwares, tools, documentations will be available in this folder. Okay, so I've copied the eLibrary. Now it is deployed. Now let me go and launch it again. Okay, so this eLibrary will have a admin login and the librarian login. It's a typical library administration application. Okay, so I'll go and log in. This is also gets connected with the MySQL. Is running. Last time it might take some time since after the deployment. Okay, so you get a homepage where you'll be able to go and view all the existing librarians, and also you'll be able to go and add the librarians. Okay, and then after logging out, you can also go and log in as a librarian, and then you'll be able to issue a book, return a book, add a book. All these functionalities you will be able to do it. It's a typical librarian or library administration application. Okay, this is what we'll use it for our all the be it as a your memory profiling or CPU profiling or heap dumps, thread contentions. For all these things, we'll be using this. Okay, and yeah, coming back. So while we start with the engineering topic, we'll start with the response time analysis, CPU profiling, identifying problem at the class level, at the method level, for every functionality. It's not under load. Okay, shift left, early performance or profiling will not happen under load. Okay, it will happen as a single user CPU profiling or single user memory profiling or single user client side profiling. Okay, when it comes to, just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry guys. So yeah, when it comes to your load testing and endurance testing, it is going to be diagnostics, right? It is going to be monitoring and diagnostics. But at the beginning of the project, or when the code is getting developed in a sprint or in a release, before we do a load testing, we do a single user CPU profiling, memory profiling, and the client side profiling, which is applicable. Okay, so we'll learn all these things. We'll also try to understand what is heap, what is stack, difference between heap and stack, how important it is from a garbage collection perspective, what is a typical stack overflow error or why it happens, right? So all these leak analysis with respect to heap and stack we will learn. Okay, and then when this memory topic, right, it's going to be little vast. So probably for a week we'll spend time on memory leak analysis. When we are doing a load testing or endurance testing, when we see a bad memory pattern, why you take heap dump, when you take heap dump, how to analyze a heap dump, what tools are available, right? What is the kind of pattern which will indicate there's a problem with the heap. All these things we'll learn in detail, followed by the garbage collection as well, right? Different types of collectors, the different segments in the heap. What are the various, what is major GC, what is minor GC, what are the various components when it comes to your garbage collection, right? Heap is divided into young generation, old generation, hidden. So all these, and also with the GC tuning flags, when to apply certain GC tuning flags. All these things we will learn in detail under the memory topic. Okay, see, any programming language, any application, end of the day, it will come down to CPU and memory, and in terms thread and heap are probably a subcategory, right? So your optimization analysis will revolve around the CPU, memory, thread, and heap predominantly. So after learning your CPU profiling, response time analysis, and then your memory, will also go and learn what are threads, what are Java threads, what are the various states of threads, what are thread contention, how to identify thread problems, and then why we need thread dump, when we will take threat dump, how to take threat dump, and then how to analyze the threat dump, all we will learn one by one. Okay. And then with the modern applications, the client side profiling, front end analysis is very, very important. That is also, we will look into it from a testing perspective and also from a front end optimization also we will learn. Okay. So with after learning all these topics, then we will go and look into how to look into the architecture and how to create a monitoring strategy. Okay. See, creating a monitoring strategy is very important because you spend a lot of time in scripting and then you spend a lot of time in execution. But if you can't able to observe, monitor your components, then you'll not be able to identify problems, right? Say, being a performance tester, we might focus only on probably response time, error rate, number of transactions passed, failed, all these things, right? But it's that is not only the goal. Every component in your server, be it a database or a messaging queue or any middleware, your application server, right? Everything has to be healthy. Even if one of the component is not healthy, that is also going to impact your overall performance anyway. So you should have a proper monitoring strategy. So we'll go and spend time to how to create a monitoring strategy, right? By reviewing your architecture. Then we'll spend good amount of time in configuration of AppDynamics, configuring Dynatrace with the e-library application, monitoring, doing diagnostics. So we'll spend a couple of days in AppDynamics and Dynatrace, right from configuration to your analysis. We'll also focus on one of the very commonly used open source monitoring, infra monitoring called Telegraph, Influx, and Grafana. Okay, in a lot of places where we don't have a luxury of this APM tool, bare minimum, we should be able to monitor your infra. Okay, and from there, we'll move on to the database side also. As I mentioned, we are not going to learn database profiling here. That is something, database profiling, database optimization, it's very, very core. And that is something will be done by your DBAs or your database performance engineers. As an application performance engineer, most of the time, our scope is to understand how your applications interacting with the database with respect to connections, with respect to queries, some of the important parameters like your parsing efficiency, your buffer rate ratio, database time, all these things, important metrics we will learn, and then how to get these from a AWR report, when to get a AWR report, or in what frequency you have to get it, how to get these important metrics, we will learn. Okay, and from there we will move on to how to understand the requirements from a engineering perspective, or it has to start from NFR, right? I mean, without defining a proper business functionalities from a scoping perspective, how to arrive at certain workloads, or whom to talk, how to get these data. So we'll spend good amount of time in the non-functional requirements and engineering strategy. Okay. Now, even though you learn all these things from an engineering perspective, when you go to any interview, any project, they will definitely keep asking you about DevOps, resiliency, auto scaling, cloud related topics, synthetic monitoring. So what you've done is you will be getting access to those my recorded videos in all these topics. Okay. Along with that, Linux for performance testers, performance automation using Selenium. So all these things are, we thought, though it is not a pure engineering stuff, but wherever you go, you will be asked about certain these things, right? Synthetic monitoring, your DevOps, resiliency or auto scaling, Splunk. You should be able to comfortably use Linux. So all these things will be available as a recorded videos. After you register it, within a couple of days, you will get access to these my recorded videos. Okay, so these so the way we'll learn, as I said, we'll use the e-library application, we'll build, we'll deploy, identify problems, and then redeploy it. We have an entire the e-library code as well, so that we can go and look into exactly which class, which method is having a problem. That's how we are going to learn. Okay. People who doesn't know Java, I mean, doesn't need to know, right? All we are trying to learn is how to do a profiling, how to get the observations, and we also go and look at the code so that you will get to know what is there in the code, right? That's all. Even in the project, we might not get access to the code, right? Nobody's going to give us the code majority of the time. So we're not going to go and look into the code and say that go and change this line to this. We are not going to provide the code fixes. Never. Right? We are going to provide our observations, analysis, and recommendation alone. Okay. All we need is I want you guys to definitely do an hands-on at least one time, whatever I do. If you can do it in your laptop after the session is over, or maybe next day or over the weekend, right? At least once, if you can do all these things, that will be a huge advantage for you guys. Okay, all you need is your laptop, some prerequisite softwares, and then I'll guide you through what has to be installed. That's it. I mean, everything, whatever I do, be it as Dynatrace or AppDynamics, there are trial licenses available, JProfilers, everything you will be able to install it and use it. Okay, so these sessions are going to happen between 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST. Okay, the way we connected today. Okay, and any questions with respect to registration or payment, you can reach out to Kumar sir or the group admins. Okay, I'll pass it here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can unmute and ask.
Yeah, one question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So right now we have all microservices architecture getting deployed in production, right? So would this course cover those also, from those aspects also, that if something is slow, any microservice is slow, so how to debug, troubleshoot, fix, something like that? Because we have Kubernetes, Docker everywhere now, and in the agenda what you shared, I did not see that. So I just wanted to check if that is getting covered in this course.
Okay. See, one, when it comes to microservices, right? It is still an application, but instead of having a huge application, you're going to have a smaller components, right? Split it into a smaller components. End of the day, this microservices also is going to be a Java or Node.js or a Python or whatever technology. Okay. When it comes to profiling or analysis, it's not going to be any different at all. End of the day, it is still going to be a small application by itself. Okay. So when it comes to engineering, whether you're going to profile or analyze a monolithic application or a microservice, is not going to be that different at all. Okay. We'll also cover, I have a couple of Java microservice as well, which we will use it during our profiling phase as well. Okay, but microservices or a monolithic application, from a engineering standpoint of view, it's not going to make any difference. Architecturally, that's a huge advantage, right? Microservices is going to be a huge advantage. It brings you from availability perspective, from a stability perspective, maintenance, all these things. Microservices are, I mean, that's why people are using it. But from when it comes to the activities that we perform, heap dump or a thread dump or a profiling, memory profiling or CPU profiling, it's not going to be any different at all. Number one. Number two, when it comes to Dockerized containers, Kubernetes, running it in a Fargate, serverless, it's more from a deployment perspective. They deploy it inside a container or a Kubernetes or a Fargate, right? But what is going to get deployed is an application still, right? Your jar or a var, instead of I'm running it in my laptop, now I'm going to package it and going to run it inside a Fargate or a Kubernetes. So when it comes to monitoring, yes, there will be a difference. You might need to monitor if it is going to be in a Kubernetes. You might need to monitor the not only your application but also your pods, your nodes, etc. But when it comes to the actual engineering, end of the day, it is still a WAR file or a jar file that is going to be inside the Docker container. Okay, so that is not going to change. You're analyzing that CPU profiling or a heap memory profiling or a dump, heap dump or thread dump. That's not going to change at all. But when it comes to monitoring, yes, you might need to monitor your those pods and nodes. That way, it is going to be different. But that is not covered here. Okay, we have a separate course for complete cloud architects, right? We have a separate course for that. In this course, it is pretty much focused on the engineering aspect, but not from these containers or Kubernetes. Okay, so one of the reason is there are many things that we need to learn, obviously, and adding everything into a 3-4 weeks course is going to be sometimes overkill for a lot of people. So that's why we tailored it and kept it within a certain boundary. But your question is very, very valid. When it gets deployed in a Kubernetes or in a serverless environment, we may need to learn how to monitor those Kubernetes pods and nodes as well, but that is not covered in this course.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Can I get the contact number so that I can connect? And
I'll after the session is over, I'll post my name, and I'm already in the group. Okay, I'll
okay,
just say I'll just introduce myself so that you can message me tomorrow. Whoever have any question on if you want to discuss whether it is relevant for you or not, how this course is going to be useful, you can message me. Probably depending upon our availability in the daytime, we can connect definitely.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
Uh, Excuse me, I have one question.
please go ahead.
So, whenever we are doing a performance test, what are the things we need to be ready, while monitoring, like to identify it, before it is happening, but any bottleneck is happening. Let's say it might show some uh, evidence that something is going on. Let's say memory is being going up like that anywhere in all, like, is it being covered here, I'm asking.
Yes, definitely. I think whatever you touched upon, those will be there during our monitoring strategy, or when you go and look into the Dynatrace, AppDynamics, everywhere. These will be covered across various topics. This will be covered.
Yeah, and one more thing, like nowadays many people are using AI integration in their in their daily work. So how we will be able to integrate AI?
Okay. So there is the introduction to Gen AI. I forgot to mention the topic, right? There are use cases from a performance testing perspective. We'll cover what is large language model, what is Gen AI, how are we going to use it, how it is going to benefit, how we have to use it. That I will cover it. When it comes to AI, there is other again from an AI perspective. There is something from a result analysis, correlating the results, those things from an introduction to Gen AI, I'll cover it. We'll not go in detail into any of the AI topics, but definitely now with Gen AI is very, very popular, and you have to know what is what. From that perspective, I'll be covering in one of the session, introduction to Gen AI, large language model. What are the various services available in AWS or Azure, like Bedrock or Azure OpenAI? How are we going to use it? What is the difference between on-prem LLM and the cloud LLMs? And what are the use cases for from a performance perspective? All these things I'll cover it in one of the topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question, sir. So will any documentations things will be covered, sir? Like how to, prepare the test plan, or after the requirements gathering, and how to the distribution of load these.
See, there might be standard templates, but I don't have those with me. I can get it from Isha, but we will not cover on, say, the engineering strategy. I will cover it. What has to be there in engineering strategy, engineering plan, that I will cover it. But regular test plans and NFR document, that is something it is not meant for this course. So I might not have it. But if you want to get the template, I can get it from Isha. They might definitely have the strategy documents or test plan document. Yeah, that I can get it.
Because those are the starting things, right? So we request here, and also like once we do the engineering and we provide a detailed analysis report, right, sir? So those also like for engineer after doing the engineering.
Correct. So for say for example, we do a profiling, okay? Then you need to prepare a report, right? Those from a profiling perspective, I'll be creating those report when we do a profiling. So you get to know how do we create reports for profiling, etc.
Okay. So basically, like here, like you'll be like using LoadRunner or Jmeter, sir. Like we will be
So
going.
for me, yeah, I'll be using Jmeter, but pretty much to probably say execute couple of iterations. I'll not be running huge load and all, but I'll be using Jmeter, and then the scripts will be for that e-library application. So Jmeter is what I'll be using it for wherever it is required.
Okay. And sir, what is the course name, sir? Like you said, there is a separate course for monitoring for cloud technologies.
I'll just check and exactly ping you the course name. It's cloud.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it, but I'll get you that link in the
Because
WhatsApp group.
because those are the latest in the market, right, sir?
Sure. I'll get you that. You look into it. So performance engineering will not be covered, but more cloud related technologies will be covered. So I'll give that link. You can take a look into it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Satish.
Yeah, hi.
In the slide that you shared earlier, where you had the list of all the topics that will be covered as part of the course, I was wondering whether do you cover network analysis? The second one is using any log analysis tools.
Okay. See, when it comes to troubleshooting the network latency, we will not be using any tools here. See, the problem what we used to get, right? You might be seeing a very good response time in Dynatrace AppDynamics, but in the end results in Jmeter LoadRunner, you'll be seeing high response time, right? So those cases, you may need to see why it is you're seeing this difference. Is there a network problem or is there a latency problem? Then how to troubleshoot these kind of a latency problem. We'll be using a very simple command line tools like ping or traceert. Will understand how to approach this kind of problem. And sometimes there'll be a problem between a server to database. There'll be latencies. So from that perspective, I'll be teaching it, but not any network monitoring tools will be covered.
Okay, so second one is the log analysis. Are we covering any tools related to log analysis?
Log analytics like your Splunk or ELK is not part of these topics, but you will get an access to the Splunk videos. See, but the Splunk video is also not from me. Every other video, whatever I told, it's from me. But Splunk is something, a recorded video from another trainer, which is a little bit old. Okay, so but it will still help you to get a fair understanding of what is Splunk, how we create dashboards or queries. But during the live, the log analytics is not going to be covered.
Okay, so in the next slide where it is mentioned about Linux for performance testers. So does that course have? Do we go over the commands related to performance engineering, like verifying, checking the stats?
See, we'll be using Linux from installation, load generators, monitoring. Right? A lot of things you'll be doing Linux. So that's why my recorded video of a Linux will be available, which will be covering all these things. From a monitoring, from installation, connecting to Linux, setting up this Linux machines for a load generator, right? All these things will be covered under this particular 8 hours of video recording.
Okay, so I have three more. One other thing is Java, since I see how the course is more centered around Java
Yes,
applications, performance
yes,
engineering.
yes.
So will we cover any basics of Java for performance engineers?
Yeah,
Java
yeah.
for
See,
performance
yes, yes, yes. The Java for
engineers.
performance engineers is what the first topic is all about, right? Uh,
Oh,
the that will be covered. As is
oh,
mentioned,
okay.
from a programming perspective, few programs will create it, classes, methods, object. So those will be the beginning one, which we will do it tomorrow or day after.
How about any other like .NET or other applications? Are we going to touch the basics of it,
Again,
or is it a
very, very
separate course?
a very frequently asked question, right? See, problem is again, it has to be certain within a boundary. We have to have this topic, right? Very, very difficult to cover everything. Uh, your enterprise application is going to have multiple languages like Python for sure, Java, .NET, Node.js, right? But it is not going to be easy to learn everything. That's number one. Number two is Java is definitely in any enterprise, you will have Java. And third is in any interviews, when it comes to performance engineering, you will you'll keep getting questions around the heap dumps or thread dumps or GC or all the Java related things. So for all these practical reasons, we are sticking around only Java. But the concept like your client side analysis or monitoring or your AWR report, NFRs, engineering, all these things are going to be common. Only when it comes to your profiling, your heap dump analysis, thread analysis, that is very specific to Java. So, but to answer your question, yeah, not other languages.
Okay. Is there a course specific to .NET applications, performance engineering of .NET applications, like this one?
It used to be there in the past, but currently there's not available with Asia for .NET.
Okay. Thank you. Last question. Are we going to cover anything about performance engineering of streaming applications like video, audio streaming? Is that, are we going to cover
Um,
anything about?
no. So as I mentioned, right, whatever that is mentioned here is the one which is going to be
That's all?
covered. But if you have
Okay.
specific questions on streaming, right, we can have a discussion when we do a discussion, right? You can probably share what you're. And that will we can always do it, but not as
Okay.
a topic. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Satish. Yeah.
Yeah, and every day's topic will be recorded, okay?
Mhm.
And you will get an access to those recorded video next day before noon, and that will be always be available for you. There's no expiry for that. Those you'll be part of that private YouTube playlist, and that will always be there with you for a couple of years minimum.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
can you just
hi.
pass? Yeah, hi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I have, I mean, I think you might have covered, but I have couple of questions. So, I mean, I mean, at least my org has more of a Linux environment where we have some web application, but majority of the um I mean, the code will be everything on the Linux servers. So like configuring, so they does all those platform related uh, specific product. So do we have any, I mean, do we cover in this like specific to Linux profiling? I mean, understanding where it is causing some issue when some service is running. There are like hundreds of Linux services. I mean, everything is an RPM package from different teams. So they are just running in the system. So how do we figure out from where we are having an issue from these services? More of a platform, network, Linux related profiling. So do we cover that in this course?
See, Linux is a operating system, right? Obviously, your Java
Correct.
application, which is developed in Windows, can be deployed in Linux for sure, and that's how happens in everywhere, right? So when it comes to monitoring or profiling, you're going to access your application through an from a UI, right? From a Mac or a Windows, you're going to access through UI. And then when you do a profiling, you're going to use the profiling tool like JProfiler or AppDynamics or Dynatrace. So pretty much it is not going to be any difference between Windows or OS. Of course, if you want to go log into Linux machine, probably to a putty or a SSH session, and then if you want to use those profiling or the native tools, then you might need to know Linux very in a vast manner. But with the tools like Dynatrace, AppDynamics, JConsole, or JVisual VM, or JProfiler, you will be uh, anyway pulling the data from Linux machine to these tools, and then you will be viewing it in the Windows only. So not much difference, but you have to be comfortable in Linux, right? So in order for you to use Linux and then still use like tools like VMstat or IOStat, right? And to probably install your own load generators or other softwares, that will be covered in this Linux for performance testers. But the training session will happen in Windows only. It's not in Linux.
Okay, so I mean, in my environment, I usually work on Linux VMs. Exactly what you're saying. So I connect to the through putty session. I connect to my lab VM, and then start working everything on the Linux
Correct.
VMs or a
Correct.
Linux server. So we
Server.
have access to, yeah. So we also have some clients, Linux clients, which run on the servers, our product on our product, and then again we analyze login into that particular machine, and then we'll have to check the how is the performance on the server, right? I mean, it's we install ISO on that server, it's which is Linux, and we also have to run some commands to check the performance and where we are having issues. So everything is Linux box. So, and if there is any issue, okay, so there is some connectivity issue. So from where, which port, or so, I mean, I just want to know, like, do you cover as part of your Linux this thing, or I
Not,
mean, I
yeah,
just wanted to
maybe.
understand, yeah,
Um,
more of a
yeah,
platform performance.
what I can do is I can share you that playlist content if possible tomorrow. See, I maybe not to the level that you're looking for, but definitely I'll do a thing. I'll send you a link of that links course, which is available in
Mhm.
Isha website. You can take a look into it. It might not be exactly what you're looking for, but yeah, at least 30-40% will be covered on what you're looking for. But you just take a look into it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think, I mean, I know it is very hard to suit 100% of your requirements, but at
Difficult,
least
very
if
difficult.
something is covered on Linux platform where we profile and then find out if there are any platform related issues. So that's where I'm looking into. So either
Sure.
this course or some other course, whichever Isha or
So we
someone
don't
offers.
have any other course. Only we have a Linux for Performance Sister, which we conduct separately, but that is added to this playlist. So I'll send you that link.
No, okay. So I mean, I do the CPU, VM stat, IO stat, ping. So those things, general like top. So yeah, we do run those, but those are very basic, right? But if you want to go into the like more into the kernel level issues, okay. So this parameter, if we tune to, and there is a performance increase. If we tune
Correct.
this parameter, yeah, so there is a, so that's where I think our there is a separate performance team altogether. But
Okay. Okay.
I'm into a system test team where we have some intersection. But to understand and then okay, talk to them and then clearly understand, I'm trying to get this course.
Sure. You take a look into that content. I'll send that link in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. And yeah, I have other questions like what are the prerequisites? Because I do not know any Jmeter or load. I mean, I'm not a load testing engineer or anything. So, what are the prerequisites for this course?
Okay. Okay. Then what I can do is, if you don't mind, we can connect directly tomorrow, right? And try to understand your experience and your skill set, and then probably I'll try
Mhm.
to explain you what would be required. Performance testing is not a mandatory. It is good to have for sure. It is a it is an easy transition or easy upgradation from testing to engineering. But I'll probably spend some time with you tomorrow to understand your skill set and your experience. Accordingly, I can advise you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Just ping me in the WhatsApp. We'll connect.
Yeah, sure. The course timings, I'm in,
Same time.
Yeah. So do you have anything in future planned with the different times that suits like outside US, outside India students?
Okay, this is actually this time is for India, UK, and US. Actually, it should suit, but if you're in office in US, it might not be. But you're looking for something in your evenings, is it?
Yeah, I'm looking something in the evening. Yeah.
Okay.
So do you rotate the timings of this course?
This is 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. IST.
Yeah. So, but the same course, like this session, you have in your evening time. Next batch, you have.
But yeah, we haven't planned it, but if there are more requests, we will plan definitely one in the morning IST.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that way, I think we can concentrate. Otherwise, we are rushing.
Difficult. Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll keep it.
Otherwise, then it's same as getting the recording session. Maybe we'll have to talk
You're
to
right.
Kumar.
You're right. You're right.
And if I purchase, say, if I talk to Kumar and then get the course recorded sessions, just in case if we have some any doubts or anything, how do we connect? When purchase your own course.
Mutual availability, right? Maybe most in the weekends, depending upon our availability, we can connect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is still possible, right? If I purchase a course,
that is still possible. But again, it depends all as well, right? Not immediately, it might not be possible, but definitely we can work out a time to connect.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Satish, couple more questions. In the slide that you shared again, I noticed like two commercial tools on that. One for profiling, which is the JProfiler, and then application performance management tools, which are Dynatrace, AppDynamics, and many others. So I was wondering, are there any open source profiling tools and application performance monitoring tools? If yes, are we going to cover them as part of the course?
There
Basics,
are answers yes. There are open source APM tools like ELK, and then your open telemetries or part of your open source APM tool, which is not going to be covered, but that is something in use in certain places. Profiling tools, these are all very less expensive tools. So I am not very sure about the equivalent open source profiling tools, but APM tools, yes, we have open telemetry and ELK, which are open source in nature. But yeah, those are not covered.
Okay. The second question is capacity planning. Are we covering that as part of the course?
Okay.
At least some basics.
It's very difficult to say no, right? But it's a usual thing. Because it's very vast, right? There's a lot of things that we need to learn, we need to know. But unfortunately, benchmarking, I will be covering it. Say, for example, for a JVM, so when it comes to capacity planning, right? To put it in simple terms, if 10,000 concurrent users is your requirement, how many instances you need, right? For that, you need to know one instance, how much load it can take. That I will be covering it as part of JVM benchmarking. But capacity planning itself is a very vast area. So we'll not go very in detail about capacity planning at all. But as I mentioned, the JVM benchmarking, how would we arrive at those max instances? Those I'll be covering it as part of the JVM benchmarking.
Okay. Because whenever I interact with my infrastructure team, the question that I'm asked is how much memory, how much CPU, how much disk do you need? Things like that.
Exactly, right? What is the heap configuration, your thread configuration? How do we arrive at those optimal configuration? That will be part of your JVM benchmarking.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, guys. Okay, well, we need to stop it. I think there's one more session has to be started now. We'll stop it here. You guys have any questions? We will take it up at the beginning of the class tomorrow itself. Or as I mentioned, I'll pass on my number in the WhatsApp group. You just message me. If any questions around payment registration, you can reach out to the group admins or Kumar sir. Or if you have any questions around the topics, we can connect during the daytime or in the session itself tomorrow directly. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.